the screen? Great. Wonderful. Well, we've got a great story to tell. There's been a lot of progress in OXTHERA over the years, and what I want to spend the next few minutes is just walking you through what some of the challenges we're up against, what we're trying to accomplish, and why we believe OXTHERA is poised for success. What inspires us? What gets us out of bed in the morning, as we say in America? It's about solving really tough problems. Primary hyperoxaluria is a devastating disease. When you hear patients and families talk about the challenges they have with primary hyperoxaluria, it truly is inspiring and motivating, certainly for me and for our team. This is a genetic disease. It affects mainly the metabolism, abnormal metabolism of the production of a toxic metabolite called oxalate. There are 3 types of primary hyperoxaluria. The first one, type 1, is the most common and the most aggressive, and you can find patients as young as 1 or 2 years old that present with this. And if we focus on type 1, it's the disease progression starts with the overproduction of oxalate. The calcium, the extra oxalate binds with calcium in the body fluids. These body fluids get concentrated in the kidney. This results in a series of inflammatory responses within the kidney, a breakdown and deterioration in kidney function. And when the kidney backs up, you get what we call systemic oxalosis. If you see the images on your right, you can see you get these crystal deposits in the bone, which leads to a lot of pain, immobility. It also accumulates in the heart, so it negatively affects heart function, and also in the eye, so you lose eyesight as well. So it's more than just a kidney disease, it really affects different parts of the body. As the kidney starts to fail, you start to, some of these patients, by the time the median age of 20 years old, have kidney failure. When you have kidney failure, then it means you go on an intensive dialysis regimen, and these regimens are quite intensive, and 6 times a week, 5 to 6 hours a day, and these are patients who are then on the kidney and liver transplant list. So this is an ultra-orphan disease, very rare, less than 4 per million. There are about 1,000 of these type 1 patients that are on registries today between the US and Europe. Currently, there are no pharmaceutical options available. Current therapy is high fluid intake. You're drinking lots and lots of water. You have a restricted diet, and you're taking additional supplements to help reduce the oxalate burden. And some of the stories you hear about drinking 4 liters of water a day, and you can imagine, and it's 24 hours a day, getting woke up in the middle of the night, not being able to control your bladder, wearing adult diapers and affecting mainly young people. It's truly, truly devastating. And in fact, we heard a story from one of our patients at a recent workshop. And when when you have an accumulation of kidney stones, you have to have a surgical operation to remove your kidney stones from your groin area. It is quite traumatic, not only for the patient, but also for their families. Now, only type 1 can be treated through a combined liver and kidney transplant. If you can find the match, which is never easy, but if you do, it's extremely costly, over €1 million for double transplant. You do have high rejection rates in these patients. About 30% do not take the transplant, and even after the transplant, oxalate levels take years and years to normalize because of all the buildup you have systemically. So what is the solution here? The solution is Oxabac. This is an anaerobic bacteria. It thrives in low oxygen environments. It's the most advanced therapy in primary hyperoxaluria. We'll talk a little bit more about the mechanism of action later. And we've got evidence of clinical efficacy and a really good safety profile. We do have orphan drug designations for primary hyperoxaluria in both the US and Europe, and as well as for a new indication, short bowel syndrome, in Europe. Now, the lifeline of any biotech company is a strong patent portfolio. We're no different. We've got a broad patent protection through 2026, and we're looking to extend that by another 10 years with new applications. And even though this is a small patient population, because of the severity of the unmet need here, these patients and the cost associated when treatment is available by the transplants, you're going to be able to achieve, we believe, pricing reimbursement that most orphan drugs will have achieved over the years. And when you add that up, we're looking at about a $300 to $400 million market opportunity in the Western world. That's about 250 to 350 million euros. And we're looking at submissions, if all goes well, which we believe it will, for Q2 2020 in both Europe and the United States. So before I talk about the product Oxybac in more detail, I want to frame the challenge and the opportunity in front of us. As I stated, primary hyperoxaluria is more than just a kidney disease. So because of the systemic nature of the disease, we've got to look beyond urinary oxalate as a measure of oxalate burden. And because of the preponderance of oxalate in the plasma, that is an area that we really want to focus in on. And so what we've learned through the literature searches out there and from our own experience is that elevated plasma oxalate is a prime candidate to contribute to the progression of kidney disease. As plasma oxalate rises, kidney function declines, and that increases the risk for further crystallization and inflammation. So in other words, if we can lower the plasma oxalate, and we believe we can actually reduce or prevent the progressive renal damage that you see in these patients. Furthermore, when the kidney's not functioning properly, we've got to look for another way to bypass that. And so this oxalate transport to the small bowel is an important excretion pathway that will help us override the defective kidney. So let's talk more about Oxybac. Oxybac, as I mentioned, is an anaerobic bacteria. It's delivered 2 times a day in an enterically coated pill to make sure that it's delivered the right part of the lower intestine. Dual action. So Oxybac, its sole source of energy is oxalate, so it gobbles it up in the gut and it eliminates it through the gut. It also has a very interesting signaling mechanism where it's able to activate a transporter mechanism across the intestinal lumen to draw in the oxalate from plasma into the gut and further feeding the Oxybac, the Oxalobacter formigenes, the bacteria, to help clear it out. So if we continue to do this, what we'll see is an improvement in the disease by stopping or delaying disease progression in these patients. So this slide just talks about some of the integrated analysis that we've done over the years. We've studied over 100 patients with primary hyperoxaluria. We've seen a correlation between plasma oxalate, EGFR, which is a measure of kidney function. And in this case, as plasma oxalate goes down, at baseline we're seeing EGFR, plasma oxalate goes up, EGFR goes down. And I think what's really important here, some of the critical insight that we've gained, is that patients with more advanced disease that have EGFRs of under 90 are a better target for us. And in these patients, what we've been able to demonstrate is we're able to stabilize and reduce plasma oxalate concentrations and stabilize and improve kidney function. These are very statistically significant based on this analysis. So let's go to the timelines. We're very excited. We're gearing up to start our pivotal study. First, patient we expect to be in the coming weeks, and I think this is a really important step for us going forward. We're looking at a randomized placebo-controlled study, around 18 patients or so, and we're looking to complete the recruitment by June of 2018 and complete the study by the end of the third quarter of 2019. Furthermore, we have an ongoing dialysis study. 12-month data is due from the remaining patients in March of 2018. The study is already, we're seeing indicators of lowering plasma oxalate levels, reducing crystallization formation in the heart, which is leading to improvements in cardiac function. And anecdotally, we're hearing feedback from our investigators that patients are no longer are reducing their pain medications, are able to ride their bikes again, which I think is a really good indicator of patients on Oxybac therapy and how well they're performing. We're going to be tracking this study very carefully going forward. I've already talked about our regulatory filings, Q2 2020 for both Europe and the United States, and we anticipate, if everything goes well, to get an accelerated approval a year later in the kind of Q2 timeframe of 2021. And as you find in most rare diseases, you have a follow-on confirmatory study that you've got to commit to for these rare diseases in small populations. So let me take a step back a little bit about the competitive environment. I think competition is a good thing. It shows that this market is attractive. We've got three competitors: Alina, Alnylam, and Dicerna. Alina is an oral enzyme that's targeting initially dietary hydroxyurea. They've had some mixed results. They're also looking to expand their indication into more severe forms of hyperoxaluria. They are also in the process of filing for an IPO in the United States. Alnylam and Dicerna, on the other hand, are really going after the source of the genetic defect in the liver, and they are both utilizing an siRNAi, silent RNAi platform, utilizing different pathways. Both of them are, Alnylam is underway with their phase 1/2 study. Dicerna is initiating this, we expect, in the first part of 2018. I think some of the key takeaways is we have a lead now. Our aim is to keep it. We also believe we have some advantages over Alina with our dual mechanism of action and some of the uncertain results that they've generated in their phase 2 in the less severe forms of hyperoxaluria. Both Alnylam and Dicerna have some challenges around safety. We'll be monitoring carefully, but I think the important message here is that we believe that we can work alongside Alnylam and Dicerna as we've done some of the positioning work, that there may be a place for us even if they do get approved. So I think on the basis of we've got a great product, we've got a lead. It all comes down to the people, and we've got a great team. George Gemile's got a ton of experience in the rare disease arena. As you know, he's also chairing the Orphazyme board. He was at Genzyme, has a successful track record of building companies in this space, and knows how to work both in the US and Europe and globally. Elizabeth Lindner, who's been our Chief Operating Officer, has been with the company for several years, has built a great foundation, has got extensive experience in the biotech space. I recently joined. I'm thrilled to be a part of this, and having built businesses both in the US and Europe in the rare disease space, I think we really have a great foundation. We just added a new Chief Medical Officer, Bastian Demal, who came from Amgen, who's got great relationships with the nephrology community. So, in summary, I really believe OXTHERA is poised for success. We have a unique understanding of primary hyperoxaluria. We've learned extensively from our previous studies. We've developed strong relationships with the KOL community. And in terms of going through our data and our ongoing dialysis study, we realize it's important for us to go after those patients with more advanced disease, utilizing cardiac imaging to enhance our totality of evidence package, and also do longer-term studies as well. I think those insights are being applied to our pivotal study. This is a safe treatment. We've had no related serious adverse events. And I think this is a very attractive area for companies that are interested in growing their rare disease portfolio. We've had a lot of interest over the years in the space. And as we think about exit strategies, certainly we have to consider that as a possibility. But in the meantime, we continue to look at our commercialization pathways just to make sure we're on top of that. I think finally, we're very blessed with a strong synergy with Remy and the support that he's provided over the years, introducing us to LSP. We've had industry funding that's been a long-term investor. ECOS has just joined us. We now have the financing to really commit to our pivotal study. So we're really excited about the future for OXTHERA, and I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak with you today. Thank you very much.